This is episode 181, a revolutionary approach to menstruation, so our cycles. And before we really get started, you heard what we're talking about. Don't hit skip. If you are a male and you're listening to this, if you are on some kind of birth control where you don't have your cycle per se, you still have a cycle. If you've hit menopause, that magical time where everything is changing for you, you still want to listen. This affects other people. This affects you in different ways. So please listen. Welcome to Wellness in Every Season. We talk all things wellness to help you align yourself, align with your goals, find balance in your life, and just recalibrate yourself. If you are listening for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And let's get started in the rest of the podcast. Today I have with me Amy Gaston, and she is somebody who we've emailed quite a bit. So I'm very excited for her to be on. And her company name is OhmBody. Why does this matter to those who don't have a menstruation cycle?
I think because we all come from a woman and we all have women in our lives. It's interesting to ask that because a lot of times investors, researchers, or government officials look at women's health and menstrual care as a niche market. It's interesting to call something that affects half the world's population at some point niche. So every woman that we know at some point in their life menstruated, whether that was heavily, whether that was lightly, without pain, some for longer than others, some still, some no longer. Every woman is set up to menstruate. And so it's really important that as a society, we understand the impact that poor periods can have on a woman, a company, the economy, and their families. It's really this like chain reaction. And it's important for us to normalize this kind of conversation so that when we look at greater research, greater investment, greater change to the way we approach a woman's cycle and how she's educated about it. And as a 12-year-old, I heard a stat that 78% of girls in school learn more about a frog's anatomy than her own. That's an insane stat. And until we normalize conversations like what you and I are about to do for men, women, children, people who are menopausal, whatever it might be, people who have had their uteruses taken out, whatever it might be, we have to normalize this conversation in order to propel change in women's healthcare. Is that a good answer for Autumn?
Yeah, I was thinking there was this girl. I'm curious now that she's a woman. I'll have to find her in the magic of Facebook.
Yes, the beauty of that.
Yes, and reach out to her because she missed so many days of school. I met her in middle and high school. She missed a ton of school because of her cycles.
It's a lot more common than you think with young girls. We have this misnomer that young girls don't bleed a lot and, they have light periods and they're 12 and 13, 14. Lots of young girls menstruate in a way that's disruptive to their lives. Really painful, lots of bleeding. There's another stat that we talk a lot about at OhmBody is that 50% of girls out of sports when they start menstruating. That is unacceptable. I'm a former college athlete. We know the benefit of being in sport through school. More women CEOs who are former athletes, they make higher money. They're more likely to graduate from college. They're more likely to be successful in the workforce, right? Because sport teaches us that. And so this idea that a menstrual cycle could prevent a young girl from that experience is heartbreaking to us. And we're on a mission to change that.
We've had several conversations about hormones. Before hitting, talked about how this is going to be different. We've talked about hormones, especially when getting into perimenopause and menopause. And then we've talked about minerals and how that can change things with the period. Just last week, I interviewed somebody and we talked about lifestyle changes to help during the fertility years and how you should really be starting this way before when you're first starting your menstruation cycles, and you should be continuing this through the rest of your life. How are we tying this in to make this big, beautiful package? Because I love that the last three conversations, or this is going to be the third one, have been so close together that listeners should be remembering those ones while they're listening to you. So how are we making this a big, beautiful package?
Yeah. So at OhmBody, we don't know our effect on hormones yet. which is just the truth. And we're excited about what this could look like. Right now, our research is really focused around the nervous system specifically and how we utilize the nervous system in order to balance the body so that you menstruate in an easier state, in a more natural state, as opposed to fighting yourself in that. We believe that there is a roadmap opportunity towards hormonal balance as well. We don't know that, but we do know that a body that is better regulated through the nervous system has less inflammation, which then can affect hormonal balance. So that research is continuing. Our clinical team is phenomenal, and they have several women in the space, which is what I love. So they're constantly like, what about this? And you talked about perimenopause. As a perimenopausal woman, I am constantly like, what are the effects that can make life better? And that's on the roadmap. But as we look at today's state, we'll talk specifically about the nervous system, but certainly have our eyes on what hormonal balance we can offer through our therapy as well.
And for those that are ADHD like me who want to look you up while listening, tell us where to go and then give us your credentials. I want to listen to her.
The easiest way to find us is www.ohmbody.com. So OhmBody.com. We also have a really incredible social media presence in Instagram. In the Instagram world, we love to answer questions there and chat with people. So definitely follow along there. As far as my credentials, I'm the VP of Strategic Growth at OhmBody. And so what that really means is that I have the incredible opportunity of sharing what our clinical team is doing on a day-to-day basis, and our engineers and all of this incredible tech that's patented, that's science-backed, that's research, that has published clinical research data on it. I get to sit with people like you, Autumn, and share what that story is. My background is in lifestyle branding and college sports. All my stats about girls in sports dropping out run deep. That space allowed me to understand how to take a story that matters. So in this case, the technology that we've created at OhmBody in order to help women bleed less and have less painful periods through non-invasive neurostimulation. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But for people who aren't science-minded, don't understand neurostimulation, or if their pain is normal, right? We've normalized pain for women for millennia. Until those stories are told, OhmBody is just a device that sits on the table. So my job is to take all those things and connect it with women like you, say, tell us about your menstrual experience and see if OhmBody is an option to help non-hormonally, non-invasively with no systemic side effects. So really, that's my job. My job is to tell the incredible story. I think my favorite thing to talk about, our clinical team recently received a grant from Welcome Leap. They're based out of the UK. They got a $100 million investment from Melinda Gates Foundation. Pivotal. And so they are on a mission to change healthcare. And specifically Melinda Gates's $100 million is for women's health specifically. And so we actually, Welcome Leap just launched a $50 million grant, awarded them $50 million chunk of money, specifically in research in menstrual care that's non-invasive and non-hormonal. We are one of the recipients, one of 13 institutions, and the only non-research institution. And so what that means is all 12 other recipients are universities or actual research institutions, and that's all they do. We're the only commercially operated entity that received grant money. And what that means for us, Autumn, is that just proves out the efficacy of the science happening by our clinical team. We are a science-first company, and that matters the most to us. So OhmBody is actually at the women's wellness division of a parent company called Spark Biomedical. Spark has been in the neurostimulation game since 2018. We actually have an FDA-cleared device in the use of opioid dependency withdrawal. So we use our technology in a slightly different frequency, but use our technology in order to help individuals who are addicted to opioids withdraw. And because when you're withdrawing from opioids, you're actually in a hyper fight or flight state. And that's why you sweat, you cry, you vomit. Your body literally is revolting against you, not because it wants more drugs, but because it wants to fight off this fight or flight. It wants to be calm again. Opioids help create calm. By wearing our device, these individuals can withdraw without further drugs. And so that they've been doing that. They're in addiction centers. It's being utilized in VA hospitals for PTSD and stress. We're not new to the game of neurostimulation to balance a nervous system. The other side of what we do in terms of blood clotting efficiency, we're utilizing 20 years of research from the Feinstein Institute around the neural tourniquet. And that data, can we take all the research and animal studies to help slow bleeding and to help prime platelets in a way that they clot faster, stronger, and longer. Can we actually take that and apply that by, instead of with the neural tourniquet, they open you up and they put a little cuff around your vagus nerve, and that's how they would generate those results. But for us, can we do it non-invasively? And so they started to explore it. And what we found was, oh yeah, we can actually target the vagus nerve around with the branches around your ear in these two little pads that just stick on your skin and stick to you like a Band-Aid, as opposed to some sort of invasive operation that would be needed in that. OhmBody is new around since January of 2025, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but all the research that has led up to this point is what we stand on. In a world of pseudoscience and snake oily things in women's health, right? Lots of people out there making a lot of claims. Lots and lots of claims, and oftentimes an unregulated market around supplements. There are great supplements, but there are some not great supplements, and oils, and there's just a lot of things. I'm proud to stand firmly on our science and the work that our engineers and clinical team are doing every day. I'm the storyteller, but I stand proudly in the work our team continues.
Do you mind showing us? I know you said you were on vacation, so you don't have the device with you.
Yes. OhmBody is simple to use, non-invasive. We utilize a simple earpiece. As you can see here, it's got a front node and target. It's showing what it targets. Here, this is our website. If you're ohmbody.com, you can see this yourself. This is under how it works, and you can go in this. And so we utilize this earpiece connected to a device that looks like this. It's smaller than a children's little toy cell phone. It's very lightweight, battery operated. And utilizing this device, we're going to do two different things. The first thing we're going to do is target the vagus nerve. We know she's the only cranial nerve that leaves the brain, touches all these major organs in your body, and then signals all the way back up to your brain, right? Everyone's talking about how to optimize her, how to do that. And so what we actually do is by stimulating the vagus nerve, we send signals to the spleen. Your spleen, 20 to 25% of the platelets in your body are circulating through your spleen.
And the spleen is right here. So if you guys are listening, come over to YouTube. She's pointing out different parts on her body while talking. So if you're listening, you're going to be like, what is she talking about? Your spleen is right between your ribs. It meets in the middle below your diaphragm.
Yeah.
I know that because I was having problems with my spleen for a little bit. Traumatic stuff.
Yeah.
As I was processing trauma.
Sure. And that, I think that just goes to show how connected everything is, right? The trauma from your brain down to your body is affecting, and lots of those signals are going through your vagus nerve. By signaling the vagus nerve, we signal the splenic nerve and prime platelets in such a way that when they show up to a point of injury, so in this case, the shutting of your uterine wall, they're going to clot faster, stronger, and hold longer. But because we're not activating a clot, we're not clotting you. Like, we're not sending a signal. All we're doing is saying, hey, platelet, we're going to prime you and change some signal markers so that when it's time to do your job, you're going to do that really efficiently. And so in our pilot study that was actually just published a couple of weeks ago, we saw was on average with those participants, a 55% reduction in blood loss during menstruation in heavy menstrual bleeders and a 20% reduction in the number of days on their cycle. So on average, again, we had varying rates, but on average across the participants in our study, we saw a 55% reduction in the amount of blood loss during menstruation. We know the healthy version of you keeps all of your blood, right? Like when you're losing too much blood or you have to be transfused, now we're entering into some other health issues that are going to drive the quality of your life down. What we're able to do is a 55% reduction. Some women saw up to a 70% reduction in blood loss. Half the cohort we utilized were women with a disease called von Willebrand's. And this is a bleeding disorder where these women can lose up to a liter of blood every time they menstruate because of their bleeding disorder.
I've never heard of that disorder.
Isn't that wild? It's one of the most common female-driven blood disorders. And so we worked with that population to see what changes can we affect there. Some of those women with von Willebrand can bleed 10, 12, 15, 16 days every cycle. And so if we're reducing that by 20%, that's a significant life adjustment for them. So that's the first side of what we do by stimulating the vagus nerve down to the spleen.
Let's turn off screen share so we can see your face. That's a huge deal. I had vaginal ablation done a couple years ago. I just wanted to reduce how heavy it was and how long of a period it was. And I was anemic. Now I'm not. I wanted to let you know that there are some amazing things happening behind the scenes here that I'm very excited about. The first one is I am opening my podcast up for sponsorships. So if you are an aligned brand with wellness, reach out to me. You can find me wellnessinEverySeason.com/podcast/ www.OhmBody.com/sponsor. I also have something going on for you listeners. If you've been listening for a while, I interview people who are aligned with wellness, and they talk about the healing modalities and different modalities that they do, but it is in a very descriptive sense. I am making it so that you have the chance to experience it during a recorded episode, and other people get to experience it alongside you so that we can really see how it works. Instead of just this zoomed out experience, we get to really zoom in and experience it. So you can find out more about that at wellnessineveryseason.com/listener wellness guest.
Today, the only options that you had to help reduce blood loss were either pharmaceutical, so birth control, IUDs, whatever it might be, or invasive surgeries. And ablation is invasive, painful, it's not comfortable, and it oftentimes doesn't last, can often only last 2 to 3 years. You may be looking on them soon.
And the study only lasts, they studied a bunch of women. I roll here if you're not watching. It's so frustrating. This tells you it's very much white males are the ones studied long-term. The study has only been done for a couple of years. You don't study long-term women after they've had vaginal ablations.
Which is wild.
My gynecologist was telling me, you're young enough. It's nice to be told that I was young, but I'm young enough that I might start bleeding before menopause.
I don't know how long
my lining will build back up. There's so many unknowns, but I know my body does not handle birth control well. If I have an IUD, I've never had one because I know my body so well, it's going to try and push that thing out. Oh, thank you. Plus, how many women get IUDs and they're like, you don't need any pain management. Quit being a wimp. And men are given like my husband had a vasectomy. He was given Valium. He said he didn't want it. They're like, no, still fill it no matter what. He didn't need it. He needed some Tylenol and ice and he was good.
Women sound like my husband.
Given nothing.
Yes. Yeah. So that standard of care is just now shifting to where they're putting in standards of care for pain management. So an ablation, or even worse, a hysterectomy. I was talking to an OB-GYN who said some women don't even know if they've had their ovaries taken out. They don't know if they should have their ovaries taken out. There's a lack of understanding. Back to this. Those are the two options for heavy menstrual bleeding prior to OhmBody: pharmaceuticals or ablations. So think about for your scenarios. You're young, and your doctor said you're young enough that you could actually come back to bleeding again. We don't know that. You're a 13-year-old girl. And your mom and dad are looking at you thinking, we did not want to put hormones in you. Obviously, you're too young for an ablation. So what are our options? OhmBody has the ability, proven in clinical studies, to reduce blood loss without hormones, without drugs, and without an invasive process. That's a game changer in and of
It
itself.
sounds like it's something the whole family could use. And it reminds me of a STEM machine. I don't use it enough. It sounds like it's the same idea where you might just need to change out the pads once they're no longer sticky.
We differ from a STEM machine a little bit in that a STEM machine is really targeting muscular nerves, so the musculature, and we're targeting cranial nerves. And so the voltage of that, the frequency blend of that has to look different.
Yes.
Where a STEM machine often starts at 10 milliamps and goes to 50, and then there's these giant jumps. That's the reason it's contraindicated to go above your neck. So they tell you, like, please don't put a STEM machine above your neck. You'll bolt it out yourself.
I've done it. It made my neck worse from my car accident.
Yeah. And that's the reason, right? And so where for us, our voltage is so low. We're talking like 0 to 4, and they go in like little bitty 50 increments. And so you're upping your intensity in tiny increments. You're going to be uncomfortable far before you will not hurt yourself. It maxes out. We do work with neonatal units, babies that born opioid dependent, or devices used on them. The standard of safety has to be super high on babies. We're using that same voltage range on infants. It will be uncomfortable before you'll be like, oh, I don't love that.
We want it to feel like size of the machine, and you probably switch out pads when they're no longer sticky. That's the only thing I meant.
It's tiny, super easy, portable, 3 AAA batteries. So our earpieces are daily disposable, so one-time use. And we do that because the circuits are built directly into the earpiece. And so as you pull it off, that hydrocolloid just wears off. And just for people to be safe and not zap themselves a little bit, we just want to make sure that hydrocolloids are there. And that's just a cleanliness, right? You're taking it on and off. So that's the main part of it. But it's super safe. The great thing you mentioned earlier about, can people share this in the same family? The beautiful thing about our device is we're not collecting data. It's not a period tracker. It's not user specific. So truly a mom and daughters can use the same device in the home and it will not change. It will just use whatever. And because so the frequencies are already set. And what that little device does, two things. One, it changes how intense you feel it and for how long. Set a timer, forget it, put it in your pocket and go on. We recommend wearing it 2 hours every day to menstruate or need support. The wearing it to reduce blood has to happen on the days that you're bleeding. Or studies show you got to wear it every day that you bleed. I wear mine in the morning. I lift, eat breakfast, drink coffee, then take it off, shower, and go on with my day.
That's amazing that you can lift while you're
Yeah. We're not sure you could do like high intensity sports, right? Because your parasympathetic, we'll talk about on the autonomic nervous system side. But as far as just like being in the way, I just tuck it into my bra and put it in a spy belt and it's super easy. Sometimes I'll walk with it if I'm getting a few miles in that morning. So that's the one side. It's really convenient, really easy. Let's talk about the other side. We do blood reduction. The other side of what we do is we actually target the trigeminal nerve, which those auricular branches are right in front of the ear. And that's associated with your body's ability to manage pain. So the trigeminal nerve, in combination with the vagus nerve, together, we're actually able to balance the autonomic nervous system. So one of the reasons, in addition to hormones and things, that you feel like crap during your period is because your autonomic nervous system is out of balance. Your sympathetic tone, your fight or flight tones are in overdrive, right? Whether the world wants to think about it or not, when you menstruate, your body's experiencing trauma, especially if you're a heavy menstrual bleeder. If you were to bleed as much as from any other part of your body, you'd be in the hospital receiving treatment. For women losing copious amounts of blood every day of their period, they would be in the hospital receiving treatment. But we don't do that because it's menstruation. For millennia, women have been told this is just part of the curse of being a woman. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, and menstruation and babies were just the curse of Eve. And this was the burden a woman buried, right? But what it really is your body is like, we are in red zone. Quite literally, trauma, trauma, trauma. Your body's sending resources to your uterus to help you manage what's happening. And what that does, it puts you in survival mode. It just does. And so you don't sleep well. You have cramps. You have mood swings. You're anxious. You crave carbs. Like all the pieces that come with PMS and the more severe are because your sympathetic tones are out of system. We're able to raise your parasympathetic tone, your rest and relax tones to help your body menstruate in a calm state. We're not keeping you from menstruating or ovulating. All we're doing is
calming down the body.
We're just calming the body and giving the body tools to say, oh, wait, I know how to do this. And I actually don't have to do it in a stress state. And we can just balance it. So what did that look like clinically from a results perspective? Our participants saw on average a 40+% reduction in cramping, a 40+% reduction in gastric upset, a 7% plus increase in mood stability. Women just felt better, not crazy. Reductions in anxiety, sleeplessness, craving, all the other pieces that come along with the times when our autonomic nervous system is out of whack. And so for our cohort participants, some saw, like we talked about earlier, a really high reduction in blood loss and maybe a moderate cramping reduction. Some saw a really high cramping reduction and maybe a more moderate blood loss because they were closer to the baseline of what's normal and average. But across the board, what we saw was an increase in quality of life score, which is the point. Our tagline at OhmBody is because life doesn't stop when you start. And we believe that, right? It's amazing. I'm a business owner, so I also own a small business. I mentor kids. I have a very active social life. I travel a lot. I play tennis. I do not have time to sit under a blanket with a heating pad every time I'm in. I would love to do that, but I do not have time. The majority of women do not have time because we have stuff to do. We want to give women options to manage the symptoms that are literally disrupting their lives in a way that is going to balance their body as opposed to giving their body something else that they then have to manage in the form of hormones or drugs. Now, we'll say this, we're not anti-birth control. We recognize that women are on birth control and hormones for a myriad of reasons outside of just managing menstruation, cramps and pains and things. So we look at ourselves as just another tool. If you're on birth control for whatever reasons, but you still bleed heavily or those cramps are just really intense, we want to be a partner to your birth control options. We have other women who've had ablations, but still have cramping, right? They're still managing that. And so we've been able to provide relief to those women simply by wearing our device when they have symptoms. So earlier we talked about 2 hours every day you menstruate or need support. We have team members and users who wear it the 3 days leading up to their period when cramping's worst. and they
I
need
was
a little
gonna ask
extra. And so they use it whenever that is. And you can wear it for longer than 2 hours. Again, in our other spaces, those individuals wear it for 24 hours. So there's no adverse response to wearing it longer. Some women need a little more. Maybe they're really out of sync and their cramping is really intense that day. And so they'll wear it for 4 hours. A user on our team keeps her earpiece on all day. And then when she just needs more support, she just plugs herself back in. So she doesn't burn an earpiece. She sits in an office all day. It's no big deal. It's non-invasive. You forget it that it's on once it's on. And then she'll wear it for 2 hours, feel fine. And then maybe a couple hours later, her cramping will return or start to return. She just plugs herself back in to ride out that piece so that she never really feels these intense peaks in cramping.
My question is, does this work for postpartum? That
Yeah,
postpartum bleeding? It sounds like it could.
we don't know yet. Quite frankly, we have a heart to understand. I am so fortunate. While we have 3 male founders of our company, they are dads of daughters, obviously, and had wives who have had babies. And so their heart really is like, how do we make it better for women in our lives? That's really what they're motivated by, which I just love. Because again, people research and develop things that matter to them. I'm thankful for that. We have a heart to understand how can we help support women through postpartum, through the heavy bleeding, through the severe cramping. I know that I have friends that have been postpartum and they're like, my cramps have never been so bad until after I had a baby. And I was like, oof, goodness. As a child-free woman, I'm okay not experiencing that. Hearing their stories, it's heartbreaking to know there are so few options and the lack of understanding that happens all the time. How do we support that? That's on our roadmap. Right now, we're focusing on heavy menstrual bleeding. We have a pivotal study funded by Welcome Leap that I talked about earlier, starting early next year, that will do women with heavy menstrual bleeding, von Willebrand's disease, and then young girls, adolescents, ages 14 through 17. How can we help support FDA clearance for heavy menstrual bleeding? Heavy menstrual bleeding is our number one. How do we make sure we understand that? We think we have the data that proves that we do support that. Obviously, we're on market or have done that. And then there's endometriosis, PMDD, PCOS, fibroids, postpartum hemorrhaging. What's the next frontier in that? And so what I love is that our clinical team is never done. They're constantly like, how do we make this better? How do we do this? What's the next important thing? We learn a lot of that from our community. So we had the privilege of doing a Reddit AMA for a community for PMDD, and just getting their responses and their questions helps inform us. And so that's why we encourage people to engage with us on social and in our platforms. We want to do what matters to women. Because for too long, women have been told, this is what your healthcare is going to look like. Here you go. And at OhmBody, we're like, no, you tell us. And we have a lot of women on our team, so it's not like it's new information. But to have confirmation from them of, no, we were right. This is the next pathway forward. This is where our next focus needs to be. We've been privileged to have researchers, scientists, and OB-GYNs who are wanting to partner with us and link arms with us and say, how do we make this better for women?
That's amazing because even let's go to the OBGYN's office and the speculum. Can that be upgraded, please?
The most archaic. What the actual? My husband's like, wait, that goes in you? And it does what? I'm like,
And they take a snip biopsy and they're like,
Yeah, and I was
"You
like-
need meds for that. When you might bleed, good luck.
you'll feel a little pinch. I'm like,
That's
a
not
little,
a little
pinch.
pinch. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
that's why
I'm not used to being pinched up there.
even across women's health, I just turned 40, my first mammogram, and I had very small breasts. Barely have anything. And all I could think of, how painful and cold is that about to be?
So many horror stories about it.
Are we taking a man's penis and smashing it between 2 pieces of metal? No, we are not.
Every woman say that afterwards. We should do that.
Why is that how we're measuring breast tissue and checking for breast cancer? It's 2025, people. I will say this. We are so very fortunate that we have met and continue to meet incredible OBs and gyns. Change is slow. And so how do we, and that's one of the reasons we went to market as a wellness device as opposed to waiting to be an FDA cleared device that's in insurance, and because that takes.
I was going to ask you that next. So
Yeah.
we do HSA, FSA, yes.
HSA, FSA, you can do. On our website, we're a wellness device. You don't need a doctor to prescribe it. You can get it directly from us, which is great. We will go after FDA clearance. Our hope is to make the device as accessible to women as possible.
Anyone who's like, why haven't you done this yet? You need to realize how many years it takes to be approved. It's on the horizon.
Today, we can help women as a wellness device. We have to be cautious in our marketing and claims, which is fine. Even as a wellness device, our science is real. There's a lot of wellness devices out there that make claims that have no clinical research, that have no scientific proof behind them. We just happen to be a wellness device because it was important to give this device into the hands of women today.
I
FSA,
could do the
HSA
same needs
eligible.
in the hospital postpartum, rent out breast pumps. How great would it be?
Yes. And we hope that's in the future. We recognize that postpartum is a population we want to take great care to understand and great care to ensure that those women are receiving the best care and treatment and the most validated options available to them. While it is in the future, it's going to take longer because it's a very protected population for all the right reasons. We are 100% supportive of that.
It's actually for the wrong reasons. Now it's
For sure.
it's because something happened.
It's
Yeah. I've took some research classes and learned about the horror stories.
devastating. And I say this a lot, though. I'm so proud to be at a company who wants to change it. And I feel like we're really in women's health. While none of us think changes happen fast enough, we're never going to think that. I do think we're in the right direction. And I think now more than ever, again, with the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation, Welcome Leap, these organizations putting their money where their mouth is, I think we're going to start to see this tidal wave of changes. I think it's incumbent upon us to do the right things in that space. How do we use the money for the right research? Ensure that what's coming to market is real and isn't some sort of just sad fantasy. How do we get things quickly to market? That's a challenge for investors, innovators, scientists, and marketers, because you can invent and invest all you want, but then you need people who can take that and then validate that to a population that doesn't understand the science deeply. That is just like, tell me if this is going to work. And because they've been lied to and cheated at, women specifically, for so long, there's a bit of skepticism. We recognize that. It's incumbent upon us as companies to say, let us hand walk you through how this works. At OhmBody, we have a 60-day money back guarantee. No questions asked. If you get it and you don't see a difference, send it back. We'd love to chat with you. Use the device right. How can we understand what you are feeling? You'll probably get that from our team. We recognize there might be non-responders with tech and treatment options. We want to understand that. So we might walk you through and say, share with us what your experience was. It's a no questions asked 60-day money back guarantee.
That's great to know because so many people will be listening to this saying, I'm not sure which path I want to start on of the ones that have been shared with me recently. This may work for you and be exactly what you need with women's health. It's like an engine. We have many things to optimize. So maybe it's gas and the oil and all the different parts.
And every woman's different. That's the thing. I always talk about this with men on their hormone cycles every 24 hours. And almost every male is pretty much on in this 24 hours. But women, not only are we varied in length, 28 to 36 days, you and I are different on them. And we're both women, relatively the same age and probably similar upbringings. There's no reason our bodies shouldn't respond the same, but they do. Every single woman is different. It's about how do you, and that's what we love about the customization of OhmBody. I have a 5-day cycle. I wear my OhmBody 3 days. Day 1, I have severe brain fog and I'm hyper tired. This clears my brain fog and I can do a full day's work and feel incredible. Day 2 is when my breakthrough bleeding happens. Becoming perimenopausal before OhmBody, I was bleeding out of my disc every 3 hours, which is wild. The disc is supposed to hold for 12, but I was empty my disc every time I went to the bathroom. And I was like, this is insane. So with OhmBody, my disc stays in place for 12 hours and until I'm ready to dump her when I get home. Because who wants to dump a disc in a public bathroom? Nobody.
I had to do that, and I had the period undie, and I discovered super tampons.
Yes.
Still had to go through those recently. Yeah, it was started my period really young.
I started at 17. So
like for you.
For me, I had 12% body fat.
Mine was
body fat. So we had these different experiences, but so day 2 helps me stay in my disc. And day 3, it depends. Some weeks I for sure wear it because I've had a hard week leading up to it, whatever it might be. But that day 3, maybe I wear it, maybe I don't, because maybe I bleed moderately and maybe I am still bleeding a little bit. So it can be to whatever your body is. So the starter kit comes with the device, cable, and 7 earpieces to start. You can get classic or active. Active is our high stick earpiece. If you live in a super high humid climate or you're going to be outside and active, we recommend the active piece. It's a little more oily skin. We recommend wiping with the alcohol wipe, but still some women still produce oils, and we know that. So if you have trouble getting things to stick, active is probably right for you. But we have the classic, which is a 4 to 6 hour stick wear, which is still sufficient to get you past the 2 hours and then some. So you can choose between those two. You get 7 in the starter kit. And then on our website, you can reorder either every month with subscription or bulk in 3, 7, or 10 packs. So because we know every woman menstruates differently, so we're not going to force you into the number of earpieces. And so maybe you keep 3 active because some days you are active, some days you aren't. And maybe classic is what, yeah, they have an 18-month shelf life, the earpieces do. So you can order them or if you have a family, 3 daughters and you as a mom are still menstruating, bulk order them. And we give you a little more discount if you order a bunch at the same time and just stick with your bathroom and go in and use them when you need to.
So you talked about in the beginning, for those who are like, okay, period's cool, but this device wouldn't be for me, it'd be for someone else. You talked in the very beginning about a different device that was used towards just helping you to regulate if you have high cortisol levels, like that stress.
So that is specifically our prescription device in our opioid space. That one requires your prescription from your doctor, and it's just a little more expensive, but specifically that's for stress. Specifically, we are doing some really cool work in that space of stress management. We've entered into some studies with some law enforcement agencies. So can we help downregulate them after a really intense, high on the job shift to where the device is a stress relief for 2 hours before they sleep? Can we help them recover better? Some six.
And you're
We
really
will.
hit the
Yeah.
market
Back.
in the wellness space that is needed.
Yeah.
And I know that there are times when I'm a little bit higher. So that's why I have a somatics coach. I've done a
Yeah.
whole bunch of work and really dug into wellness. So for myself, and then I'm the type where once I learn something, I want to help somebody else. So that's
Of
where the
course.
coaching part comes in. I'm always the first trial child.
Yeah.
And I'll say, do you want to try this tool to the
Yeah.
person I'm coaching?
So we're really excited. The statistics around law enforcement after they retire are actually heartbreaking. I can't remember exactly the stat, but it's too high that within 5 to 7 years, they've lost their lives. Heart attack, cardiac episodes, or cancer, like their body sort of shuts down after this hard time on the force. I have friends who are on the force or family members who've been on the force. It's heartbreaking. They've not been given tools to manage that. We're excited about the possibilities to help manage a highly stressful role in law enforcement. And I think getting more stressful every day in light of political turmoil and all those kinds of things. And yeah, we're really proud of that. All of that makes me proud to work for this company.
That is amazing. Sleep is the biggest thing that
Oh,
with our
huge.
stress. And
Huge.
for several law enforcement officers, they don't have their whole career on this sleep schedule. They are all over the place. Even just helping them to relax enough to sleep and let their body continue processing. And
Yep.
I am at that age where like sleep is coveted, especially
Oh, yeah.
perimenopause. So it's the first thing that I'm writing in my journal every morning is how did I sleep?
Yep.
Did I go to bed on time? Did I wake up on time? I'm looking at my sleep tracker. I have a smart bed. Several months before we had planned to help with the car accident and my neck flaring up. My husband loves me every time I go to bed.
Right. He loves me so
But
much.
it's a split king. So you stay on your side while my foot's over on his side. He's laughing at me. But I love
feel
the
bad.
idea of us finding ways. Sometimes something works for a while and then you have to switch to something else, but of helping us to regulate our stress because we are in such a society that are like you and they're go.
Yeah.
What are we doing to help us disconnect? And because we are in such a tech society and go, oftentimes we do need to use tech to help us to then slow down. Because going from tons of tech to no tech and trying to
Yep.
slow down, it's that you get the jitters type of thing. Love this idea. It's the same type of technology, just tweaked and used in different ways. For those that are hearing, can I use this device that is supposed to be for my periods? Can I use it for non-period times to help regulate myself?
That's a good question. For us, because we're a wellness device, I have to tell you, this is what the product is used for. But I'm not in your living room. I'm not in your bedroom or your bathroom, but we have seen from users that, for instance, we have an influencer who uses it under her endometriosis flare-ups. She found relief in that. So she has talked to her doctor about that, and they have made a decision together that she's going to apply OhmBody when she's having those severe, stressful cramps. Her body's in this overdrive, and she has found relief in that. And that thrills us. We'll continue to research. We want to hear from users. How are you using your body? How did it help with your periods? Where else is it helping? Are you feeling residual relief after using it during your period? Maybe you've used it 2 or 3 months in a row. Are you then also suddenly feeling something different during the rest of the week? We want to know that. And that's why our customer service is always open. Our Instagram is a great place to tell us those stories. We've only been on the market since July 7th, 2025. We're hearing stories that are really encouraging and helping informing where the next bit of research will go, which is really important to us.
That's amazing. And I know many women, it's not all the time, but it's every once in a while. Have you ever noticed how we have some periods that are just stronger than other
Oh, yeah.
times? Where maybe we
Yeah.
were the most fertile and that's why it happened. But some people have symptoms when they ovulate.
Mhm.
Some women don't realize what's going on. That's
Yeah,
why you have the headache. That's why you have this weird cramping, but it's not normal period cramping.
yep,
Guys, we go through a lot, so give us a break.
for
By the
sure.
way,
And
you
again,
know,
back to your point of women don't know they're ovulate because 70% of girls in school learn more about frog anatomy than their own bodies. I mean, I took anatomy and physiology, but the only thing I remember about female anatomy was watching a birthing video. It's probably one of the reasons I chose to be child free. I watched a baby crown out of a woman's vagina and thought, I don't ever want that to happen to me. That is the extent of what remember about my body in AP anatomy and physiology class. That's a sad testament to what we're teaching. We're excited in the coming weeks. We'll be announcing a partnership with a company who's doing some grassroots effort to educate young girls and their parents in schools in a few states across the country. And we're really excited because that is foundational. Our parent company could have said, we're releasing OhmBody, a women's wellness menstrual product, and it could have been about the product. Instead, we thought it's vitally important that one, for the device to be successful, women have to know there's a problem. Women have to know that what they're experiencing is not normal and there's a better way. So that's part of it. But the other part is we fundamentally want to be a part of changing how women understand their bodies and how young girls enter menstruation. I have a 13-year-old niece. She just started menstruating in December. And I want her to understand her body and to be given tools that I was not given at her age. Because then she's going to enter, if she decides to have a baby or not have a baby, she's going to be well informed about that. When she hits perimenopause, she's going to know what's happening to her body, right? So this is where we are. We've got to start somewhere. We're excited about this grassroots effort at the middle school age level.
women don't realize heart attack symptoms are different for them than for men.
Absolutely.
We all know about the men's one. I
That's
mean,
right.
women have different symptoms, men with different things. And also that we're told that things are normal, where maybe it's normal in the way that like most people have it, but that doesn't
Common. It's
yeah,
common, but
common.
not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's common and then there's normal because if we are having a lot of symptoms with perimenopause and menopause, that might be common, but not normal. That doesn't mean your body's doing the right thing. Same with periods. So
Yeah.
I love that you were talking about that, and thank you for correcting me on what's normal and common.
No, no, it's so important though. And again, it's the more we can talk about it, the more this becomes our language, then suddenly we have 17-year-old boys who understand, oh, my girlfriend is having her period and this is how I support her. Hey, my young bride, my young wife is experiencing, this is how I support her through that. Oh, my wife of 20 years is suddenly bat crazy because she's hit perimenopause. How do I support her in that? My husband we've been married 15 years and some days he thinks, this is perimenopause. What do you need from me? Because our bodies are changing and we've not been given tools. Our mother's generation were not given tools to manage what was happening and to even understand, to have language around it. For us, yeah, we're excited and we're thankful, Autumn. This platform is important to educate women and men who are listening.
And this what's so different from our generation compared to our parents and beyond is that we share things.
Yeah,
Their
we're not
generation did
shy.
not. We didn't realize that it was common to have infertility problems. Not
Yeah,
normal, but common, going back to that same thing. Or that it was common to have a whole bunch of menopause symptoms. And then we just, oh, this person has this. I guess that's just normal. I'm just going to
yeah,
suffer through this. We
yeah.
don't need to suffer, ladies. So
Agreed.
thank you for this conversation.
Yeah,
And
of
that reminder
course.
that we don't need to suffer. There are things like this out here. Try them out. If it doesn't work, go on to the next thing. If it doesn't work, contact customer support. Use your HSA and FSA If you don't have those accounts and your work offers them, you are losing money because
Yes.
this is pre-tax.
That's
And
right.
for some companies, they even put forth money into it.
And match you. Yeah.
And this is happening in January. So maybe that period is still open for you.
Yeah.
Sign up for it. If not, wait till there's a life event or the next period when you're looking for jobs. Look for that. If a job has a 401k, it's more than likely they have FSA and HSA. And if you have a choice between FSA and HSA, choose HSA. You can go into retirement using it. Remember, you can use products like this with your HSA card for wellness. This whole podcast is about investing in yourself. You can be worth millions of dollars, but if you're not investing in your own health,
Yep.
and your own wellness,
Yep.
that's great that you have money. It's going to be passed on to somebody else. You're not going to be able to use it.
That's right. We
Thank
love that.
Great
Yeah,
conversation.
This has been fun. Thanks for having me, Autumn.
Is there anything else?
OhmBody.com. Check us out.
And then at OhmBody for all social media.
At ohm.body for Instagram.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being on. And for all of you who listen, please share this. People struggling with their periods, share it with them. Because if they aren't having problems, they will know somebody. Because women, the whole women are from Mars, men are from Venus. I think I said that wrong.
Yeah, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. But
Thank
I
you.
got you.
That whole book is perfect because we speak differently and we connect differently than men. We share our problems and seek support. So share that with women because we will find the people who actually need to hear this.
That's right. That's right. That's a great call out, Autumn. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope that you found the answers that you needed and you had some amazing aha moments. Please share this episode with others because it helps us align ourselves and then better align the world so that we can seek the healing that we really are looking for. As part of the legal language, I am a certified life coach with a bachelor's in applied health. That is what I am leaning on for this. This is general advice. Take it as such. See you in the next episode.